the effects of domestic violence, or also known as partner violence, not only to the victims but also to the people surrounding them as well. So before I move on to the video, please don't forget to follow our Instagram at Behind Closed Doors. I'll put the link in the description below, and since you're already here, you can just subscribe to the channel also for more videos of us, and also to gain more knowledge about domestic violence. Other than that, victims will also suffer physically, such as getting bruises, having sprained ankles, and even broken wrists. Furthermore, chronic fatigue, shortness of breath, muscle tension, and involuntary shaking are also one of the many results of domestic violence. Other than suffering physically, victims will also most likely to suffer mentally. This is because studies have found higher rates of mental health issues among survivors of domestic violence compared to those who had no such experience. So moving on. So domestic violence has significant health and public health consequences. Between 25 to 50% of homeless families have lost their homes as a result of partner violence. Victims of domestic violence are also at a higher risk of facing discrimination and securing any type of insurance such as health, life, disability, and also property insurance. They will also have trouble, they will also more likely to experience trouble raising their child, and will also suffer from family. One of the examples of a mental health issue that victims go through is post-traumatic stress disorder, or also known as PTSD. According to a nationwide study that was conducted in the US, 80% of women who experienced rape, stalking, or physical violence by an intimate partner are reported to significantly have short or long-term effects such as PTSD. The results of another study indicates that women who experience domestic abuse are 3 times as more likely to meet the criteria of PTSD. Other than getting post-traumatic stress disorder, victims are also most likely to get depression. Results of a meta-analysis suggest that women who have experienced domestic violence or partner violence have nearly double the risk of developing depressive disorder and 3 times the risk of developing major depressive disorder. Adding to that, mothers who experience domestic violence have a greater risk of developing postpartum depression. Next, women who are exposed to domestic violence are also more likely to engage in deliberate self-harm compared to non-abused women with factors such as PTSD numbing system and more severe sexual violence that is associated with the current deliberate self-harm. So domestic violence is also associated with the increased suicidal ideation and suicide attempts. According to a large study conducted by the World Health Organization, we have found out that women who have reported partner violence or domestic violence at least once in their lifetime are nearly 3 times as likely to have suicidal thoughts and 4 times as likely to have attempted suicide. The result of a systematic review also suggests a relationship between experiencing domestic violence and having a diagnosis of an eating disorder. As compared to those without such diagnosis, men and women who experience eating disorder are most likely to experience any lifetime violence. Exposure to domestic abuse is also associated with the increased odds of substance abuse, binge drinking, and also tobacco use for both male and female survivors. One study suggests that victims of domestic violence are nearly 6 times as likely to have a substance abuse disorder. As I have said before, domestic violence does not only affect the victim, but it also affects the people around the victim as well, such as a child, for example. So many children who are exposed to domestic violence are also victims of physical abuse. So many children who witness domestic violence between their parents or are victims themselves are at a serious risk of developing long-term physical or mental health problems. Children who witness domestic violence are also at a greater risk of being violent themselves in the future relationship. Domestic violence or abuse on children have both short-term and long-term effects on them. So children in homes where one parent is being abused may always feel anxious and fearful. So they will always be on guard, wondering when the next violent event will happen, and this can cause them to react differently depending on their age. For young children in preschool, they may start doing things that they used to do when they were younger, such as bedwetting, thumb sucking, increased crying, and whining. So they may also develop difficulty in falling or staying asleep, showing signs of terror such as stuttering or hiding, and show signs of severe separation anxiety. School-age children may feel guilty about the abuse and blame themselves for it, so it will hurt their self-esteem. And in school, they will not participate in school activities, get low grades, have fewer friends, and they also might get into trouble more often. For teens who witness abuse, they may act out in negative ways such as fighting with a family member or even skipping school. They may also engage in risky behaviors such as involving themselves in alcohol, smoking, or drugs even. Long-term effect of domestic violence to these children is that they are at a greater risk of repeating the cycle themselves, such as getting into an abusive relationship or being the abuser themselves. They are also at a higher risk of getting mental health issues such as getting anxiety, depression, or PTSD. So this is all I've prepared for today. Please remember that you are worth it and that you don't deserve all the trauma that comes with an abusive relationship. It is not your fault and it is never your fault. It is solely the perpetrator's fault and they should take full responsibility over their actions. Please be aware of your surrounding and don't just keep your mouth shut when you witness something that shouldn't be done. So, thank you for watching and please tune in to our last video that will be posted tomorrow. And yeah, thank you. Bye!